So we're starting this late. We're recording on Thursday this week. This is not the first time we've recorded on Thursday, but we did this specifically because we basically couldn't get out of our houses until yesterday. I mean, when did you first hit the road for the first time?
I got out. I drive a Lexus GX, so it'll go basically anywhere. And I was out by Tuesday.
Okay. All right.
It's Thursday the 29th.
Yeah. We had a major snowstorm blow through, as did like
the most of the southeast part of the United States, all the way to New York and parts north.
They made it sound like 90% of the country was going to be like under an ice cap or something like that, which, you know, it was pretty rough. I didn't have a reason to really go anyplace.
Well,
for
we're not
a few days.
We're not really through it. The problem is it's going to be in the teens and down to zero the next several days.
Yeah.
So like in Kentucky, we're used to the snow coming down and you get like a few, maybe 4, 5, 6 days of real winter. And then it hits, 39, 40 degrees and it all melts off and we go back to waiting for spring.
See, I don't want to sound like a blowhard, but like I grew up in upstate New York, and what's happening on the roads and like just generally in this area right now is what we called winter.
Yeah.
In New York. Like this is just what we had from like the middle of November until about, early March. Like this is just, there's going to be snow on the ground. It's going to be in the 20s. That's it. That's what we get.
Yeah, I know people can't tell by looking at your hippie beard and your backward cap, but you're an Eagle Scout, right?
Yes, that's true.
And you did camp out on a lake, on a frozen lake?
Frozen lake in upstate New York. Cuba Lake, spelled like Cuba, the country. It is not a communist part of New York State, but yeah, we've slept on a frozen lake
with a fire, right?
With a fire, we had fires. We had these 2-sided canvas tents that like we would go out in the lake, we would drill holes, we'd put our stakes down in there, we'd pour water in there and let it freeze to hold the tents out. And these tents didn't have a floor. They just everybody got a bale of hay, and you packed in like 8 inches of hay on top of the ice, and it was good. And you have two kids sleeping in one of these tents. It's 50, 60 degrees in there, which when it's 14 degrees outside feels pretty nice.
Right.
So I'm used to this stuff, but one thing I will not ever get used to is what I call the panic shopping. The way this process goes in Kentucky and in a lot of places in the South is we start talking about what sounds like an apocalyptic level of snow. I mean, something that's just going to shut down society and may threaten the very fiber of our beings. And we start talking about this a week to 10 days ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the forecasts are better now than they were.
They are.
And then the panic buying begins.
And then the panic buying starts. Now, what usually happens is, now in a lot of cases you can kind of justify it, because around here, like we live in a city in central Kentucky that's like, we've got, what do we have, 50, 60,000 people living in Georgetown, living in an urban area basically that's there's a lot of good roads, a lot of good infrastructure to get people in and out. But people that are out in the county areas might have to like actually plan to go to the grocery store. So I kind of understand a little bit of the panic buying.
Well, the people in the northern part of the county. Okay, let me describe Scott County to you.
Yeah.
All right. It's a roughly a square, and in the very bottom left of that square, or in the bottom quarter of that square, lies the city of Georgetown, and within 5 miles of the city of Georgetown is the Fayette County line, and within another 5 or 6 miles of that, there's a Publix.
Right.
And within 15 minutes of the county line, there's a Costco, Meijer, multiple Krogers, anything you'd want.
It's not that hard to get to, but for people that are out in the county.
Yeah, but once you get like halfway up in the county, until you get to Dry Ridge, there's nothing.
Right.
So, like, we do get a lot of the folks coming down from the north.
Yeah, so some people legit on like a regular, just standard day, like they have to plan ahead to go to the grocery store. But what happens is we get folks that just want to they feel like this might be the last time that they get to go to the grocery store until, for like 3 months, it seems. And so you go to the store and there's no bread, there's no milk, there's no eggs. You can't get shredded cheese was impossible to find. Which in some cases I can understand it. Like if you're going to be, if you legit think you're going to be in the house, which some people might still be snowed in around here.
There are definitely people that are still snowed in.
Yeah. You might need, 3-4 loaves. You've got a big family. You need a lot of bread,
Sure.
whatever. I get it. The quickness with which the toilet paper disappears is startling. And what really got me this time was Kroger sold out of bananas. Now, if you think you're going to be in the house for 2.5 weeks, is it a good idea to stock up on bananas?
The one thing that is going to go bad, as I say that, we have a thing of banana bread up there because we buy bananas to watch them turn brown.
Okay.
It's like a sport.
They're good for 4 days.
Yeah, they're
most.
4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Both my older kids, my 2 oldest kids, both work at Kroger.
Okay.
So they have seen the shittiness firsthand, and they've gotten a taste of it. But back when I was in TV news, man, that was what we did. We went to the grocery store and we covered the panic buying.
Oh, my God.
And people kind of got over it. They just how many snow sledding stories have I done? How many grocery store stories have I done? A bunch, and people
I've
just
seen
kind of got
several.
tired.
I've seen several of them actually. Some of those stories. The thing I can't understand is if we're all buying up bananas and we're all buying up a bunch of cheese, do you still really need all that toilet paper?
Bananas maybe. Yes.
I mean,
if you're buying,
I don't know, man. Also, if you need that much toilet paper, see a doctor for God's sake. We are just 2 middle-aged refugees from Generation X.
man, we grew up in a time that was a lot simpler than it is today.
Could we gamble on sports back then?
No, not really. We did, but not legally. But now,
Now we can, and we can talk about it on a podcast, and we can talk about a lot of other things too.
and we're going to. I'm Lanny,
And I'm Andrew.
and this is Bet Small.
Lose small.
We're in that weird lull of the conference championship games were played, and they were played several days ago, so we're not going to spend a ton of time recapping.
If you don't know what happened in those conference championship games by now, you probably have other podcasts that you need to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, go find Simmons or Rosillo or somebody that you like.
Yeah.
Or some of your local podcasters.
Right.
So they can lose their mind about your 1 in 3 of you are looking at a new coach. We have a segment reserved in tonight's podcast for Andrew to lose his fucking mind for 1 minute and 30 seconds. You can say whatever you want.
I only get 1 minute,
1 minute
and 30
seconds. Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
you're putting a limit on it. You're you can't.
I
just
mean,
keep going.
lose your mind for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay.
Then rational conversation. You can have rational conversation, but I think I can handle you losing your mind for 1 minute 30, considering you have the coach with the longest playoff tenure currently going right now, or had. I say have. You had the coach. Now the guy you have now, was part of that success.
There's so much to say about that. We got you're
I'm
jumping
ahead.
the gun. Just
Okay.
because I still kind of have to collect my thoughts as we go along here.
I figured by now you would have collected your thought.
It's gonna be a while before I really can come to terms with what's happened to the Bills in the last week.
All right, let's quickly I thought the conference championship games were a good time. Either you had the weather in one, or you had a really good game in the other.
Tell me what you thought about the AFC. I had a hard time watching the AFC Championship game because I kept looking at it and going, these two, this is what's left here. The Bills could have easily laid waste to either one of those teams and had their chance to against Denver. But you tell me what you thought of.
I think the
that AFC
Patriots
championship.
got exposed a little bit.
Okay.
But also, the weather was part of that, right? I mean, we can't ignore that.
A blizzard broke out in the second half of that game. You definitely have to take that into account.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm not trying to give any excuses because I think honestly Drake May got exposed a little bit. He hasn't looked good in weeks, and he had 86 yards passing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. When you have been saying for weeks or months, as in our case, that we didn't think the Patriots had played a very good schedule. We thought maybe they were not all that great, and they're in the Super Bowl. It's hard to, reconcile those things.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you, Patriots fans, I don't think it looks good for you. And Seahawk fans, let me come to you, since you've been in our comments. I haven't had anybody in my DMs yet, but I've had Seahawks fans in my comments saying, "Oh, the Seahawks were so great. How can you be sleeping on them?" And blah blah blah. Let me tell you something, Seahawks fans. You started the season 3-2. Your best wins are the Steelers, and I guess the depleted 49ers, who you barely beat at the end of the season.
Well, the Rams at home. I mean, they were 2-3. They were 2-1 against the Rams. So there's that.
But they started the season 3-2. They lost the season opener to the 49ers. They go to the Steelers and beat them. And the Steelers were all year. They had consecutive wins over the Jaguars and the Texans. Mm-hmm. But then they had this murderer's row. Commanders, Cardinals, lost to the Rams. Titans, Vikings, Falcons, depleted Colts, and then they beat the Rams by a point.
Well, in any winning season, you're going to have it's the teams that take care of business the most against the weaker teams end up being the ones that are in the position that the Seahawks are in. I mean, you think about how the Rams season went. If they just beat the Falcons, like they had that weird loss to the Falcons in week. What was it? It was either week 16 or 17.
When you play 17, they all matter.
Yeah, so
So the Rams cost themselves a chance to be at home field.
Yeah, so I
know we switched. We were talking about the
up.
AFC, but we're talking about the NFC. But I just want to say, you ever heard a commenter say, "I don't want to take anything away from blank"?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I
want to take away from the accomplishments of both of these teams because I just don't think either one is a great team.
You're talking about both the Seahawks and the Patriots.
Either the Patriots or the Seahawks.
Okay.
I just don't think either one is a great team.
Okay. Back to that Broncos-Patriots game for just a second. I was shocked at how... I mean, okay, it was a defensive battle. Part of that was the weather. But part of that was, Drake May was 10 of 21 for 86 yards. He was sacked 5 times.
He got outplayed by Mr. Stidham.
He got outplayed. You could really make an argument that he was outplayed by Jarrett Stidham, who, in fairness, probably had 3 good plays in that whole game.
He missed about 4 or 5 throws that really could have made a difference.
And he had the predictable interception on that last drive.
Right when you said
underthrew,
it.
I was like, there's about to be a killer turnover by one of these teams in the last 2 minutes. And right on cue, Jarrett Stidham underthrows his receiver by a good 10 yards and gets picked off to basically seal the game.
I mean, the total yards in the game is 206 for New England, 181 for Denver. And the difference is 2 turnovers, Denver.
Yeah.
They both had New England had 12 first downs. Broncos had 11. I thought it was a fun game to watch just because there was a lot of battle of attrition. And I always love a good weather game,
I like a good weather game if it's like the Bears and Rams was a good weather game. This was not a good. This was like a weather game where you remember that Eagles-Bills game that was in the pouring rain.
Oh, yeah.
That was a terrible game to watch. This was not, I mean, it was interesting from the perspective that the Broncos still had a shot, even late in the game. And, Sean Payton made some curious decisions. They decided to go for it on 4th down. inside the 10.
I'm so tired of it.
Just take the points, man.
You had a chance to go up two scores.
You know what's going to happen here. You've got your backup quarterback in. You can go up by 10. You got to take those points.
I mean, 10 points would have put them in overtime. I mean, we often say to each other when we're watching games, it's too cute by half.
Yeah.
That was too cute by the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just too, don't ever talk yourself into not taking 3 points. I know the weather was not great, but this was early on in the game. We didn't have a blizzard going on.
But you knew, when you've got your backup quarterback is in,
every point matters.
You got to get the points, man. If it was week 5, that's a whole different story. But in this game, look, they had to know weather was coming, right? They had to know that they were 30 minutes away from being in the middle of a snowstorm.
Correct.
I mean, nobody was surprised by that.
If they were, that's on them.
If they were, that's all on them. I thought this was a Sean Payton loss as much as it was anything else. You can't really blame. I mean, how can you blame Jarrett Stidham, who hasn't really thrown a regular season pass in 2 years?
I don't. But I don't want to belabor that. It was the Patriots are in the Super Bowl. The Patriots are in the Super Bowl. And then on the other side of the equation, we had the shootout up in Seattle.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford goes down swinging 374 yards and 3 touchdowns.
There were a couple key plays in this game. I mean, it was a shootout. First of all, I have to finally take my hat off to Sam Darnold. He played as well in this game. He played just about as well in this game as you can play in a conference championship game. He was taking shots as he was throwing touchdown passes. He was on target all day. He stood in the pocket. He was rolling out of the pocket. He was making all the plays that he had to. He was in a shootout with Matt Stafford, which I would say that neither of us, if you had told either of us last week, Matt Stafford and Sam Darnold are going to be in a shootout. Who's going to win? 99 times out of 100, we're taking Matt Stafford in that situation.
Absolutely. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he was a great quarterback before he won the Super Bowl.
He's most likely, he's at least in the top 2. He's at least the second for MVP to Drake May. One of those two guys is winning MVP. I sure as hell hope it isn't Drake May at this point. I know that's a regular season
down the
award,
stretch,
but holy shit.
Not so good. But, Stafford's going to the Hall of Fame. Yeah,
absolutely. I think so too. There was some talk that maybe he needed another Super Bowl. I'm like, no, he doesn't.
What?
He's been an absolute warrior.
He's been a top 6 or 7 quarterback for 15 years.
It's crazy. There were two huge plays in this. Now there was the muffed punt when they came out in the second half, and Seattle started. They took the opening kick. The Rams stopped them to go 3 and out, and then they punt. And the dude returning the punt, he's backpedaling. First of all, the punter booms a kick that was like, this guy was launching bombs all game. But the Rams returner has to backpedal, and he trips over his own foot and falls down, and the ball hits him in the hands because, of course, what you want to do when you're falling over is try to still field a punt. That sounds like a great idea.
No.
So they muff that punt, and then Seattle goes on and scores on the next play. That was a huge point in that game. Also, late in the game, there was an interesting penalty call for taunting on Seattle.
Yeah.
Do you remember this part?
Yeah.
This is so many days ago now, but it almost looked like Seattle had really fucked up and given the Rams life. Like, it was 4th and 13. Seattle gets the stop, and they throw a taunting flag on the Seattle defensive back who's running down and yelling at the Rams sidelines or whatever. What do you think of a call like that? When you see a call like that for taunting in the fourth quarter,
it's
15-yard penalty gives them a first down on 4th and 13 after a stop.
Unless the guy has his middle fingers out and he has them stuck in the other guy's face mask, keep your flag in your pocket. There's just no reason for that.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a good call. I thought it was a great game. Interestingly enough, no points in the fourth quarter. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. I know. Well, because it was big stop after big stop. And it really just it came down to those defenses. Really,
My favorite player in that game was Kenneth Walker III.
Oh man,
Dude, he only ended up with 62 yards on 19 carries, which is not it's a low yards per carry, but he had a couple of runs in that were just freaking electric.
Yeah.
And he's like 5'4".
Yeah.
He's not that short. He's probably like 5'9" or 5'10", but
he's one of these dudes that's built like a bowling, like he's just a bowling ball with legs.
I mean, he has basketballs for legs.
Yeah. I mean, he only averaged 3.3 a carry, but those carries, like he had a touchdown run. He had his long was for 11 yards. You're right. He didn't have, but what he did was he allowed Seattle to chew up clock.
Yeah.
Late in the game.
It was a really good performance from Seattle. They got outgained pretty seriously.
Yeah.
479 to 396. They had no turnovers. They only had 6 penalties. Rams only had 4 penalties. So, but the big one was third down.
Yeah.
They were 7 of 13 on third down, and the Rams were 1 for 8.
Yeah, that was big, and that's where this Seattle defense. I think the Seattle we talked a lot this year, or at least I had mentioned that I thought the Rams had a good enough defense, even if they weren't necessarily top 5, and a good enough offense, even if they weren't necessarily top 5. Usually, those two things together.
Yeah, I mean that's a winning formula, but Seattle had enough offense and a really good defense on home field. Seattle is a nightmare of a place to play.
Yeah.
So now we move forward to the Super Bowl. The public is not invited, but you always have a really good Super Bowl party, and maybe we'll talk about that next week. But we're in that media week is next week. How much do you care about media week?
I can't describe to you how little I care about.
I used to care. It's so much in the last 5 or 10 years. Like, I wanted to be a sports writer. I discovered journalism when I was 15, and I wanted to be a sports writer. And I used to love all the coach talk, the ball speak and all that. And ESPN was in its infancy, still in its infancy when I was in high school. Like, they didn't have, maybe they had the NFL by then, but I don't think so. It didn't come until maybe college.
That was, I think ESPN didn't get the NFL, like get games and stuff until like late 90s, early 2000s.
But SportsCenter was my church. And I loved the coach speak, and I used to really like Media Week, and I couldn't give two shits about it.
Radio Row was always fun. ESPN Radio had really their heyday between like the early 2000s and like the mid 2010s when it was Dan Patrick, when oh gosh, I'm blanking now. Scott Van Pelt,
all those
Tony
guys.
Kornheiser, all those guys were down there. What's the Dan Lebitard?
Yes, yeah. All those guys.
Lebitard's crew was always crazy. And then you had all the other different radio shows that were down there, and they would just grab guests. You could get the same guests, and it was always like.
And now they're all podcasts. So,
right now, that's like it's so much now.
Radio.
Yeah, now it's all podcasts, and radio just doesn't. Even ESPN isn't really putting a ton of resources into their radio anymore. It's all podcasting, so it's not as much fun. And yeah, I just don't. I don't need 2 weeks of constant updates and constant like stories on. Like, I'm more interested in like the things that are going on with coaching changes and what's coming up for free agency and the draft and all that stuff.
Do we want to get into the coaching changes this week, or do you want your 90 seconds of losing your mind yet?
Let's real quick. Let's just talk about we're not going to do our Super Bowl picks this week.
No.
We're going to wait and do an in-depth next week. We'll do an in-depth on the Super Bowl and the matchups. We're going to have we're of course going to have a ton of picks because it's the prop betting Christmas of the year basically. Let's just talk real quick about the matchup. Let me pull it up here. We've got Seahawks are favored by 4.5.
Yeah.
It started at 3.5, didn't it? Because we talked about this on Sunday night. You said after the Seahawks won, you were like, what's it going to be?
Yeah, what's the line?
I was like, I think probably 4.5. And you were like, it's 3.5. It opened at 3.5. It's at 4.5 now. I imagine it's going to get back down to 3.5.
I don't think so. I think it'll go off of right around 4.
Yeah.
I said to you, I was like, I think it gets all the way to 4.5. I think I even said that.
Yeah.
Now, I sound like my mom is well known for knowing things in hindsight.
Yeah.
But
of course.
I think we were right on it. We knew about where it was going to be.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good line. I think the Seahawks are the better team, but we'll do that.
We'll get deeper
in
into
depth.
that.
It's in Santa Clara, so you're not gonna have weather, but it's not gonna be like hot.
There also might be turf issues. Levi's Stadium is notorious for having a terrible turf by this time of the year. I think they bring in a new turf for Super Bowl. Like they totally resod the thing.
Well, the Niners haven't played at home in a month now.
It's been because they didn't. Did they have a home playoff game? They didn't have a home playoff game. They were wild.
No, they went to the Eagles.
Yeah, okay. They were at Eagles and then at Seattle. So I mean the field's in good shape, but I think they grow a special field for the Super Bowl every year. But we've seen some terrible field conditions in Santa Clara regardless. That's going to be interesting. The weather will be interesting. You never really know. I mean, San Francisco kind of stays.
It's moderated by the ocean.
Yeah.
It's always like it's never like brutally cold, but it's never warm.
No.
I've never been there, so I couldn't tell you.
No. So we'll see as we get closer. That's kind of why I don't even want to make a pick this week anyway, because it's so far out.
I'm leaning Seattle at this point, but I think I'll lean Seattle all the way up until like something major is going to have to happen.
Yeah.
But onto the coaching carousel.
Well, do you want to recap? I might have some good news for you if you want to recap our contest.
Recap
because
the contest.
We're now through the conference championships. The contest has changed. We declared victory.
You
for
won
me,
the regular season contest,
but so we started over, and we're each doing 200 pesos worth of bets a week, and we had to pick a winner in each individual game, either a money line or against the spread, and then we had to build a parlay that involved all the games. So this week, I had Denver plus 4.5 that hit at minus 108. I had 80 on that, which netted me, paid out 154 pesos. But then I missed on pretty much everything else. I had the Rams at plus 130. I had New England. I had the parlay was New England, Denver over 42.5, which, by the way, this is where that weather factor comes in because
killed it.
At 42.5, like early in the week, it was like going to be 35 and sunny the entire game, and then all of a sudden a snowstorm blew in.
This is the problem with us recording on Tuesday.
Never ever would I have picked over 42.5 if I knew that was going to happen in the second half. I had a Rams alt line of plus 7.5 that hit, but then I had Darnold. I was making my last stand apparently. Darnold under 235.5 passing yards.
Yeah, he blew by like halftime.
Man, he blew by that in a hurry. I knew after the first, like midway through the first half, I was like, well, that's not happening. And then, of course, Denver alt line of plus 7.5, which did work out for me, but didn't hit that. We got a little ad for Allstate there.
Allstate ad.
You had more picks. You were playing catch up a little
I had
bit.
like 5 picks, yeah.
Yeah. You had New England minus 4.5, which because they only won 10-7, so you didn't hit that. But you had Seattle minus 2.5, which hit. At minus 115, that paid 56 pesos on a 30 peso bet. You had a parlay of New England minus 4.5 and Seattle money line minus 154 at 30 pesos. That did not hit. You had a parlay of New England money line, Denver alt plus 12.5. Ramondre Stevenson to score a touchdown, which was the which didn't hit, and then Drake May over 200 yards passing, which did not hit. But I have good news for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Seattle money line, Walker touchdown, Puka Nacua touchdown, and Rams alt line plus 7.5 was a parlay worth plus 798 for you.
Yes.
You had 50 pesos on it.
Yes.
And it paid 449 pesos.
Yes.
When you put that together with your previous weeks and your other winning from this week, you are at a total of 796.95 pesos on 600 pesos worth of bets. So you're up 196.95 pesos.
Excellent.
My total is 595 pesos on 600 worth of bets. So I'm underwater by a little over 4 pesos, which means you, sir, have now taken a strong lead heading into Super Bowl week. And I can't fucking believe it.
200 pesos to bet on the Super Bowl does not seem like a lot.
It's going to be. We're going to have to find places to spread it around.
The prop bets are going to be crazy. I really hate them. But we're going to end up with a couple.
I'm surprised, but so you don't like the little player props and all.
I like playing the lottery as much as the next guy, but that's what it feels like. Like,
sure.
You know those squares games that everybody plays, and we're just like, I'd rather not.
Yeah, but that's a party game. That's just to have like when we have Super Bowl parties, it's like you have people like how many people are going to be there? Like my friend, our friend
Matt.
Our podcast colleague, for example, Eric Green.
Oh yes,
does not do sports ball.
No, he doesn't.
He does not know anything about football.
He knows soccer, but he
knows soccer. He plays soccer. He knows a little bit about soccer. He does not do football, but he'll buy a square.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes he'll buy 2 or 3. You never know.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean the season-long squares.
Yeah,
I really struggle with the prop bets just because, like, it's like playing Keno, as I like to say. If you want to do that, go play Keno.
Okay.
Well, but we'll find some bets.
Well,
we've got a week to study.
It's the last game of the season, man. Like
you have to. Yes,
you got to get in. This is it because after this, it's just.
Then we're betting on college basketball.
Yeah,
Holy
sadness
shit.
ensues from here. So
in the tournament.
Well, the tournament is good, man.
The tournament's fun.
Yeah.
I wish they would go back to 64 teams. It's never going to happen. But
we had an unaired practice podcast around the NCAA tournament last year that if we had had our studio set up, I would have been like, publish that shit.
We
might have to dig that up.
If it still exists.
We might have to dig that up.
Some of the things have been lost to time.
Okay. Well.
And a lack of space on the hard drive.
Lack of hard drives. Lack of storage. Yeah, some things had to be dumped. Well, yeah, let's take a break, and then we'll come back and do coaching carousel. Does that sound good?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, we'll be back. So we haven't spent a lot of time on coaching changes, even though, well, we spent a little bit of time, I guess, on the inexplicable firing of Sean McDermott, but we haven't spent a lot of time talking about the coaching carousel, which is really, especially in the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, is kind of one of the more fun times of the year to see like who's going to make bad decisions. And
I have not found a decision that I liked yet, either from the ownership side or the coaching side.
Okay.
Like a lot of these don't make any sense. The McDermott firing was maybe the biggest one. But the hiring of Joe Brady by the Buffalo Bills, the offensive coordinator, and look, the Bills have had a good offense with what they've had to work with, which is no number one receiver.
Let's get to that. Let's run down these. I've got the page pulled up on ESPN.
List them off.
We've got. Well, they run through these in alphabetical order.
All right,
okay.
Let's go.
We've had 10 coaching changes, and a couple of them were like the Titans fired their coach in the middle of the season. Giants fired their coach in the middle of the season. Then there were 8 more that opened up after the season was over. So let's start with the Falcons. They fired Raheem Morris, and they hired Kevin Stefanski, which. Now you said that you don't like any of these picks. I think Kevin Stefanski for the Falcons is a home run.
Okay, fine, but Kevin Stefanski, had he waited, could have had a shot at the Bills.
Well, but was there ever a time when anyone thought that Bills job was going to be open? Like, could he, of the jobs that were available, the Falcons job seems, with the exception of the quarterback situation, which Stefanski's had far worse quarterback situations in Cleveland than he's walking into in Atlanta.
Wait, just hold on. You and I have talked about this a lot.
Okay.
And one of these days I'm going to put the data together to back it up.
Okay.
But I will say on repeat if you do not have a top 10 quarterback or maybe a top 15 quarterback, the thing that you should be doing the most, that the thing that should be at the top of your whiteboard is finding a top 10 or 15 quarterback.
Okay.
Whether that's through the draft or a trade.
Okay.
The Atlanta Falcons don't have anywhere near a top 15 quarterback. And they're not going to get one.
Do you think that
No.
Okay,
No,
hold on.
I'm just
Hold on. The answer is probably not going to change as I get into this. Do you think that between... Okay, so you and I think, are probably out on Michael Penix, even though it's just been 2 years, but the dude keeps destroying his knee.
No.
I mean, we're talking about 5 knee surgeries now for this guy,
But
right?
the same way we were out on Tua, we're out on Penix.
Okay.
What is it about the left-handed guys?
I don't know. It's something, it screws a lot of things up. I think, was Michael Vick the only one that really had any...
Steve Young.
Steve Young. Okay, never mind. Well, but that's one out of...
Boomer Esiason.
Two out of how many we can think
Well,
of?
I mean, there's just not been that many left-handed quarterbacks,
yeah.
but we're out on Penix. And maybe it's no fault of his own. I mean, sometimes you just get hurt. Sometimes you're prone to getting hurt.
Yeah.
Same with Tua. Whatever.
But with Stefanski, so he's got the option. He's going to have Penix back, and then he's also got Kirk Cousins. Now, we can say what you want about Kirk Cousins. Do you think there's a chance that with those weapons that Stefanski has at his disposal, he's got a great running back in Bijan Robinson. He's got a great tight end in Kyle Pitts. He's got a couple of great receivers, Drake London. He's got weapons on offense.
I think.
Can he get the equivalent of top 15 production out of Kirk Cousins?
If he starts Cousins. I think they need to cut bait with Penix. Whatever that looks like.
Okay.
Cut bait. He's the backup, whatever.
Okay.
Let Kirk Cousins know, because he's only had the 1 year in Atlanta that he was really, no, it wasn't even one.
He was the starter he was named the starter to start the season this year, and then he got hurt.
Yeah, okay.
And he came in, I think he came in middle of the season. I don't remember exactly how last season
He's had some
went.
fantastic years.
Cousins.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think Stefanski.
No, I'm sorry. I'm saying Penix was named the starter to begin this year.
Right. Then he got hurt.
Cousins was the starter in 2024, but he was replaced by
Yes.
Penix eventually later in the season.
I don't know if Kirk Cousins is washed or not. There's some evidence to suggest that he might be.
Well, Raheem Morris has never made any quarterback really seem great. So, I mean,
Fair.
But I think Stefanski. I think this is going to be an interesting situation, and maybe Stefanski can get a hold of someone like a Kyler Murray, a reclamation project, right?
Oh, wow.
And turn him into something. There are going to be options out there at quarterback for these. Look, we've got a reclamation project quarterback starting in the Super Bowl this year. So they're out there.
In Stefanski's defense, the Atlanta ownership, they're not sane, but they are, they're in it to win it.
Yeah.
Arthur Blank, I believe, he's not a sane human being.
No.
But compared to what else is out there, pretty good organization to work for.
Okay. I think that's I think that's a great hire.
And the quarterback situation is I guess okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, in his defense, of all the open jobs, we didn't know the Bills was going to be open. Of all the open jobs, the Atlanta job was probably the most palatable.
Well, the next team on this list was the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay. So you could have been.
Yeah. They fired Harbaugh on January 6th, which was right after the season was over. It was a couple days into the, it wasn't a Black Monday fire, but it was it was close to it. They hired Jesse Minter, who is a hot name. He's the Chargers defensive coordinator. He's a youngish guy. He's like in his early 40s. Highly regarded as like an up and coming head coach, but I don't know that he's got. He was under Harbaugh at Michigan, and then Harbaugh brought him with him to the Chargers. Other than that, it doesn't seem like he's got anything other than assistant coach, offensive coordinator.
This is one of those. Is the Harbaugh legacy going to be like a coaching tree that goes on for generations?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to think. I guess the Shanahans.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be the case here? Because can you imagine that conversation? Hey, Coach Harbaugh, I'm going to Baltimore to take your fired brother's job.
That had to be awkward. It had to be an awkward conversation.
And Jim was probably like, I'm so proud of you. Go for it. Because I can see him saying that.
Yeah.
Maybe not meaning it. Maybe he does.
Yeah, who knows?
He's weird.
I think that's going to be interesting. I mean, the Ravens' defense was just okay this year.
It was not good.
It makes sense for them to bring in a defensive-minded coach when you've already got an offense that revolves around an MVP caliber quarterback. It's just going to depend who he brings in as the offensive coordinator.
We didn't see MVP caliber quarterback this year.
No, certainly not.
And we've got an aging running back situation there.
Yeah.
That was pretty big fall off. But, it's new blood. It's a young guy. I actually kind of enjoy the young guys. And to be honest, this is the kind of guy that I thought Pittsburgh would hire.
I'm the same way with this. I was really surprised by what they did. Do we want to do Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
we're jumping ahead because Pittsburgh hired Mike McCarthy to replace Mike Tomlin. This is their fourth coach in their history is going to be.
I don't know if it's their fourth coach, but it was Chuck Noll.
It was Chuck Noll. There was one guy before Chuck Noll, wasn't there?
Maybe
I
right.
don't remember.
We'll have to look it up.
It's either the fourth or fifth coach in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which they have a tendency to hire young and just say, we're sticking with you. You're not going to have the sword hanging over your head for your entire, for the entire time just because we're Pittsburgh. We're going to give you a long runway.
Okay, since 1969, they've had Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, and now Mike McCarthy.
Okay. Well, they maintained Mike continuity, at least.
They did. So since 69, that's a long time. That's before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
To only have 4 coaches is incredible.
Yeah.
Each one of those coaches has won a Super Bowl or multiple Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Cowher, I think, was...
he went to 2.
He won 1. He won Super Bowl XL. Noel had 4 Super Bowls.
Right.
Tomlin had the 1 and lost 1.
Right.
And then Mike McCarthy.
Well, didn't Cowher go to 2 Super Bowls? He lost the Super Bowl to the Cowboys in the 90s.
Yeah. And McCarthy has won with Green Bay.
Okay. Interestingly enough, though, McCarthy has not been to. I don't remember this. Mike McCarthy was with the Packers he won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. Now I don't remember this exactly. We're doing our research team did not give us enough.
31-25 in the Super Bowl XLV following the 2010.
That's 41, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
he won
2010.
Super Bowl 41.
Yeah.
That was in 2010.
Yeah.
That's 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So
a lot can happen in 16 years.
A lot. And Mike McCarthy, widely criticized towards the end of his Green Bay tenure for having good teams that just couldn't quite get there.
Let me tell you what he was.
To Dallas.
You know what he was criticized for at the end of his Green Bay tenure? Losing.
Well,
he went 7-9, 4-7, and 6-10. 4-7-1. Okay. So when you do that, you get criticized because you're not winning.
Right.
Now,
with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback.
Correct. So, that's why he left Green Bay. Actually, he started 6-10 with Dallas. His let's see, 10-6 in 2016, 7-9 in 2017, and then 2018 he was 4-7-1.
Okay. I mean,
and then I guess he got fired.
It's a surprise. It's just a surprise, and I don't see how McCarthy's there for more than 4
for
5 years, 4 years.
Yeah, I expected the Steelers to come up with anybody else.
Yeah, I expected like there was going to be like a Grant Udinski.
Yeah, they don't do
hire.
retreads and they don't do old guys, and they did a retread old guy.
I expected that was gonna be a place where Joe Brady might go, because Joe Brady is 36, which I think was Mike Tomlin's age when he was hired. He might have even been younger. He might have been like 34. They hire young coaches and they give them a long runway, right? But we'll see how that works out. They don't have a quarterback now. McCarthy says, I'd love to have Aaron Rodgers back. Which, what the fuck is he gonna say? Is he gonna come in and be like, "Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, it'd be great if he retired"? Like, he's not gonna say that,
right? I mean, Rodgers might say the same thing about him,
right?
So.
Exactly. Well, McCarthy also, it's worth pointing out, is a Pittsburgh native.
Okay.
I don't know if there was that. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Maybe. I mean, they're pretty traditional in that way.
Yeah. They may have been, it might be that they're a little too traditional, and they're deciding, well, now it's time to get into that cycle of like, we're going to bring in a coach, we'll give him 4 to 6 years, and if it doesn't work out, we're willing to start moving on every 4 to 6 years.
McCarthy's he's 62 now. So.
Yeah. So he's not going to be there for 20 years. So I guess we have to move on now to the Bills.
Let's hear it.
I'll say this. I don't have a particular problem with them hiring Joe Brady. I don't have a particular problem with Joe Brady. Now, I didn't think that his play calling was great this season. There are a lot of people that were calling for Brady to be sent out. The only reason he probably is still there is because he has a really good rapport with Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, through this really pretty bizarre coaching search, it was talked about at length that he was involved in these coaching and in these head coach interviews with the new president of football operations, Brandon Beane, who was the one responsible for putting together this roster that doesn't have a number one receiver. And just to recap, the guy who they kind of drafted expecting to be a number one receiver in Keon Coleman last year basically clowned his way out of a roster spot for most of the last half of the season. After a first game of the season where he just exploded, and I was like, oh shit, Keon Coleman is like, he's arrived now. And then he didn't get past 50 yards receiving in any game the rest of the year. I think he had 4 healthy scratches this year.
You know what's weird when you see guys in the NFL, and if you've been around any kind of big time athletics, there are all kinds of personalities on a football team, all kinds. Yeah. When you see a football movie, you think, oh, that's Hollywood. That's not real. There's some truth in all of that. There are lots of personalities. It's pretty rare that you get to the NFL and you get a clown show like that guy who actually gets drafted that high.
Yeah.
Because you usually get found out. Either that or you are so talented that it doesn't matter that you've been found out because they will put up with it.
Well, he's certainly not that so far. He has not shown it.
Like, I'm trying to think of who David Boston would be a guy that comes to mind, whose talent is so undeniable. Megatron, those kinds of guys. Randy Moss. Randy Moss was bad fucking news from the word go, in college and in the pros even. But his talent, but there are very few of those guys.
Right.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Lots of off the field issues. Lots of stupid shit.
Yeah.
So,
well, we don't know what it was exactly that Keon Coleman had going on, but I'm here to tell you, the last time we had one of these guys who was kind of a clown in college was Stevie Johnson, who was a pretty good receiver for the Bills for 6-7 years.
Is that the guy from UK?
Stevie Johnson, who pulled some of the same shit that Keon Coleman is pulling in the NFL right now, missing meetings, just being a general clown. But all of these things notwithstanding, this is one of the most bizarre coaching searches that I've ever heard of. You never heard the Bills tied to any of the big names. You didn't hear them tied to Jesse Minter. You didn't hear them tied to Grant Udinski. You didn't hear them tied to Chris Shula. They were, they had already missed out on Harbaugh and Stefanski.
The big names.
The big names, the big candidates that were available. There was Mike Tomlin bent over backwards to basically say, I'm not coaching this year, even though it's right there in front of you. Like, if you're Mike Tomlin and you want to continue coaching at some point, that's a job that I feel like you would jump on, right?
Yeah, he had time left on his contract, and there was going to have to be a trade, but go on.
Right.
But go on.
Then we had the Phillip Rivers news come across the ticker. Okay.
How did that get out, by the way?
Somebody decided that it was a good idea to say, now you guys hold on to your hats here because we got a really exciting candidate.
The guy we just watched play for Indianapolis.
It's Phillip Rivers, who his head coaching experience, he's been a coach in high school for a couple years.
That's it.
So if you want to have that guy in, he's on the list.
Now, what did I say about that? If Phillip Rivers wants to coach in the NFL, and I think that he would be fantastic.
Yes.
Go be a quarterback's coach for 2 seasons.
Absolutely.
Go be an offensive coordinator for 2 to 3 seasons. Then go be a head coach.
Right.
And by the time you get there, you're still under 50.
Yeah.
Which is, most head coaches, they get their first or second job, in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Not when they're, it's not too late is my point.
Right. He's got time.
He's plenty of time.
Yeah.
He's 44.
The interesting thing was he was so impressed by the Bills organization during the interview process that he decided a couple of days later to pull out of consideration for the Bills head coaching job, which, let's be honest, Phillip Rivers, not known for pulling out of things.
Oh, my gosh. That is beside the point.
I had to say it.
And I knew this joke was
I
coming,
had to say it.
and it snuck up on me. I didn't even get a chance to stop you.
But it's bizarre to me that he went through that process, and you said earlier today, you were like, well, maybe he just was like, I'm in way too far over my head. But Phillip Rivers doesn't seem like a guy who's going to go into a coaching interview and come out of it and go, this is way over my head. It just doesn't seem like that to me.
I don't know. It's like, do you think you could be of your own company? You work for a university. I work for. Mm-hmm. Do you ever think in your own mind, could I be the CEO of this company? Could I be the director of my department or whatever? And for me, it's like, probably not, even though I've worked in my field for a number of years. I'm just like, I don't know if that's for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
It just was odd.
It was.
It was odd to me. And by the way, if you don't get the Phillip Rivers joke, just look up how many kids he has. The whole thing was a mess, and the whole time you're still dealing with the fallout of Terry Pegula having that bizarre press conference with Brandon Beane a week ago, where he basically threw Sean McDermott right over the side of the ship because he insisted that Brandon Beane didn't make the Keon Coleman pick or didn't want to make the Keon Coleman pick, that the coaches were the ones that convinced him to do that, and Brandon Beane was being a team player, which is patently untrue because there's video of Brandon Beane getting really fucking excited in the Bills draft room in 2024 when they drafted Keon Coleman. Okay, so let's set that aside for now. You laid waste to this coaching staff for these things and the influence that they had on this team that has come up short in the playoffs. And then you turn around and you hire the offensive coordinator who was responsible for the offense for most of the last 2 years, all of this year, and he came in the middle of 2024 to replace Ken Dorsey as the offensive coordinator.
Can I be honest with you for just a minute?
Sure. Please do. Because nobody else in that fucking organization is being honest with us.
I know this has been a tough couple of weeks for you, maybe 3 weeks since the Bills lost in the playoffs. Now, look, we have a gambling and sports podcast, and we talk about Gen X stuff. And Andrew is he is a diehard Bills fan, but look, we don't go and lose sleep over this. So not like we did when we were 20 or 30.
No.
But I know this has been rough for you. And I'm just going to say it's a little bit on Josh Allen. Josh missed just enough throws this year that he cost himself.
Yeah.
And you can say that every year going back 5 or 6.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. Now, in the playoffs, at least, this was the first year that I think you can put a playoff loss squarely on Josh Allen.
Well, I mean, he had 2.
I mean, there were coaching blunders in that game,
sure,
too.
but he had 2 particular throws that he just missed.
Yeah.
Now, was Josh Allen playing with an injury that was so bad that he had to have surgery as soon as the season was over? Yes, he was. Yeah. Was he not himself? Because Josh Allen is, I'm not saying he could turn around and play running back. I am saying he could turn around and play tight end.
Sure.
He is that good with the ball in his hands, not throwing the ball.
Sure.
He's better at throwing the ball.
Yeah.
But this year was a little bit on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a hard pill to swallow when you think about him being maybe one of the best players, if not the best player in the league.
It's tough. I mean, we're getting into the areas of, middle career Elway before he won a Super Bowl, like early stages Steve Young. I mean, Steve Young didn't play that long before he won a Super Bowl, but there was all the talk of Steve Young getting the monkey off his back.
Right.
Even though it was only like 4 years between when Montana left and Steve Young won a Super Bowl with the Niners.
And
so
he
it's
was
not
great
quite
in
the same.
all of those years, but
right.
Josh Allen he's not had as good a talent around him as he did his first couple of years.
Yeah.
When he did not have himself quite under control, he was still a little Brett Favre-ish.
Yeah.
But now he doesn't have enough talent around him. But again, he had a couple of throws this year where guys were open that he missed that cost him ultimately.
The career comp here is probably closer to Peyton Manning because it was 7 years, I think, of Peyton Manning losing in the playoffs, primarily to Tom Brady, before he finally broke through and got a Super Bowl. And it took him 2 coaches, by the way, because he started with Jim Mora, and then they brought in Tony Dungy, and that was when they kind of turned it around.
And there was a period of time in there where Brady was widely considered not the best player in the league. Mm-hmm. It was always Peyton Manning.
That's right.
And Brady kept winning the Super Bowls.
Yep.
And then Brady, Manning
kept beating him in the playoffs too.
Manning got hurt his neck, and he was noodle armed there for a year. And then, he eventually he clawed his way to a Super Bowl with that 1 year where he was just not very good.
Well, he had the Super Bowl. He beat
the second Super Bowl.
The second Super Bowl. He did win one in Indianapolis and lost one in Indiana, and he won one and lost one in Denver too. So, but he wasn't the same then. That was like It was like late career John Elway. Like Elway was not the same by the time he won the 2 Super Bowls.
No, he had Terrell Davis.
He didn't need to be. I mean, I think I said at one point to you, if they end up hiring Joe Brady, if they just end up promoting Joe Brady for this position, I don't understand it. I don't understand why you get rid of a leader like McDermott, who's been not just important to the team and the culture, but important to the Buffalo community. And I was like, if they just end up hiring Brady for this, like I think I'm just going to stick my head in the oven.
Well, I'm not saying
the only problem with that is I've got an electric oven instead of gas, so I couldn't really do that.
Burning up
when it finally came out that they were hiring Brady. I don't have anything in particular that I dislike about Brady. I think he drastically improved the offense last year when he took over for Ken Dorsey. I have concerns about a 36-year-old coordinator with no head coaching experience and then coming into a position following a coach who is so beloved by the players and everyone in Buffalo. I think it's going to be a hard job for him.
Well, he's either going to go one or 2 ways. He's going to go the Mike Tomlin way, or he's going to go the Mike McDaniel way.
I'm beside myself.
Well, here's the problem. And I want to state this, and then we'll move on from Buffalo. It is really tough to watch my friend have his organization go from being kind of a shining light with a brand new stadium coming and the best player in the game, put on clown makeup for an entire week that looks like it was fucking tattooed on. That is a hard watch. I feel bad for you. Maybe this god-awful taste in our mouths from the Buffalo Clown Show will be gone by the time August rolls around and you've got a new stadium to play in? I'm not sure.
Yeah. It occurred to me today that there's like, it so parallels the early 90s Bills, late 80s, early 90s Bills, that it took a while for them to break through in a weak AFC and then make 4 straight Super Bowls and lose all 4. It was right around, I started thinking I was born in 78. So I was like 12, 13, 14. There's like kids that are their age, like under the age of 12, that like if they're fans of the Bills, the only thing that they've known is the Bills being really good and having a really good quarterback. And as a kid, you're like, yeah, there's a lot of heartbreak from this team, but you're like, you've got some hope. And I will just say,
It's the worst.
I will just say to these young fans, if you choose to stick with this team, I promise you, it's just downhill from here.
Look,
and
yeah.
you know, if you play your cards right, you might somewhere down the line be able to add a mediocre 9 to 5 and a low grade drinking habit to your Januaries of abject despair. That's what comes with being a Bills fan. I'm sorry, kids. This is one of the things that makes me worry that we might be trending towards mid to late 90s Bills right now.
The thought comes to mind that if you ever seen video of Muhammad Ali work a speed bag or Mike Tyson work a speed bag, if you imagine your balls being said speed bag, that's what the last 3 weeks has been like as a Bills fan.
Someday I'm going to have to really go into depth and talk about the dick punch machine, like describe what it means. The machine that it's just there and it's just waiting to hit you, and it's going to.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. So now we're down to the Cleveland Browns. And this is one of those. This almost makes me feel better about the Bills. The Browns fired Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski, who is 2 years removed from winning his second Coach of the Year award, okay, has the only Browns. He was the coach of the only Browns team to win a playoff game this century, and they fired him. All right, they've given him this cesspool of quarterback options for basically the last 6 years.
They've hamstrung their entire organization by giving
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think of a word to describe. We'll just keep it clean.
Yeah,
Deshaun Watson speaks for itself.
The Deshaun Watson thing was an abject disaster.
That is a franchise killer for a decade.
It is. It really is. But they hired Todd Monken. I think they hired him today. Did this come out?
It was
recently. Today or yesterday?
Yeah, recently.
Now Todd Monken, if anybody doesn't know, he was the former offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, who were fairly criticized for strange offensive choices the last couple years, somewhat stagnant offenses, a lot of not very creative passing games. And the Browns said, well, we just got rid of a coach who's really good. Todd Monken, kind of okay offensive coordinator, sounds like a good hire for us.
I think the Browns were in that situation where they were probably getting told no more than they were getting told yes. Like, would you like to come interview for our head coaching job? Absolutely not.
Right.
Like, would you want to go work for that organization that has had 40-some starting quarterbacks since they were reinvigorated or recreated as an expansion team?
Why would you want to go to that team with that quarterback situation where even if you have success, even if you win Coach of the Year twice, you win a playoff game in a pretty rare instance for that franchise, you're still at risk to lose your job. I don't think I would.
I mean, they had a Pro Bowl quarterback there this year, though, Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, yeah, the Pro Bowl, which we know how much that matters.
No, that's a joke
anymore.
Good for Todd Monken. He's getting a head coaching job.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. He gets to show his next team that he can be responsible and do a good job. But whatever.
Yeah.
I think the John Harbaugh to the New York Giants with that situation. I mean, is that the best? Is that the best meeting of opportunity meets guy ready to do it? Or if you're John Harbaugh, do you take a year off? I would have taken a year off.
I think on its face, this makes a ton of sense, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got Jackson Dart, who showed plenty of flashes. You've got the running. You've got Scatabo.
Yeah.
You've got some good offensive weapons. You have a ton of talents on the defensive line. Now, Harbaugh is not necessarily known as an offensive or defensive coach. Remember, he doesn't
do either.
He was a special teams.
Yeah.
He was a special teams
He
coordinator
doesn't call
before.
plays and he doesn't
Right.
call defensive plays.
He is the ultimate CEO coach for a football team, which honestly might be what they needed there. They need a coach who's going to bring in a solid coaching staff, and he's just going to be the guy that makes sure all the pieces are in place, that sets the tone. Like, they probably do need a little bit of a culture improvement in New York.
Well, he is 63.
Yeah.
So you can't imagine he's going to be a player's coach, although he wasn't the player Jim was, but he was in the league.
He also, their last Super Bowl was in 2013.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time. So it's not like, Harbaugh had a lot of success, but man, they gave him Lamar Jackson, and you can make the same, the same criticisms that were made of Sean McDermott in Buffalo, you can make for John Harbaugh, for the second half of John Harbaugh's career in Baltimore. So I don't know. On its face, it seems like a good match. I got to see some results, though. We got to see who's going to be the offensive coordinator. What kind of a defense are they going to take advantage of? All that talent on defense. We also had the Miami Dolphins, who fired Mike McDaniel after Mike McDaniel was reportedly going to be part of the search for the new GM, which is always anytime you have a coach in place and a new GM comes in, we know that always works out. Because GMs love to come in and be given a coach instead of being able to pick their own guy. Well, he was fired 2 days after that was reported, by the way.
Hafley comes in as the Packers defensive coordinator in 24-25.
Yeah.
And John Eric Sullivan, who was hired as the general manager on January 9th, he came from the Packers. So there you go. That's the tie there.
Well, I don't really know it. I don't know a ton about Jeff Hafley. It was, to me, it just seems like sometimes, and I hate to say that, I hate to say sometimes you just know by the guy's name, but does the name Jeff Hafley, does it sound like Jeff Hafley, getting his gold jacket, like Jeff Hafley, 3-time Super Bowl winner? Like, it just, I don't know, man. It doesn't seem. It doesn't. I don't get good juju from this one.
That's whatever his name is. I don't care. But the problem in Miami is they don't have a quarterback.
Right.
They don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, this probably means the end for Tua in Miami.
I think the end was already. The end was there already.
Yeah.
And then the last one, the one that I guess makes some sense, but it's stupid. Robert Saleh, whatever. Can't get the Jets over the hump, and so they hire him in Tennessee.
I don't think you can put a whole lot on Saleh's time in New York.
Okay. He had Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
The ghost of Aaron Rodgers.
He had Aaron Rodgers for 3 plays the first season that he was there before he tore his Achilles.
When he was going to come back in record time to be there at the end.
Yeah, so it was a circus there the entire time that Saleh was there. I don't put a ton of stock in that. Now, I know that this year, as a defensive coordinator in San Francisco, he did a lot for that defense with very little. I mean, they lost Bosa and they lost Fred Warner. They had other injuries all over the defense, and it finally started to show. But it was largely Robert Saleh's coaching that kept that defense above water when they lost so many guys. Whether or not that means he can be a head coach, I don't know. I think this is actually, I think the experience maybe in New York is probably going to be a good thing for him going into Tennessee. I feel like
when you go from New York City to Nashville, that is a change.
Well, New York City and then to San Francisco and then to Nashville also. But I think Tennessee seems to have, would you say they're in the upper third of organizations in general? Like, they're not like, if the Browns and the Jets are like on the terrible end of the spectrum, and organizations like, I don't know, like the Rams and the Seahawks and the Steelers and some of these like solid, consistent organizations are on the other end. Does Tennessee fall like in the middle? I mean, they're not like a Jets situation, right?
This is how I can describe this. I don't know who the Tennessee owner is, and I don't know much about their ownership, which is good.
Well, they did sue the University of Houston for using Houston Oilers colors in their alternate.
Some people do
uniforms,
dumb shit,
so
but here's what I mean by that is like, if I know who your owner is, like Jim Irsay, we know who he is because he's weird. If I know who your owner is because he's cheap, Mike Brown. If I know that, then that doesn't bode well for your franchise.
No.
Mark Davis, because of his hair. I mean, you get where I'm going here.
I forgot about the Raiders on that bad end of the scale. They're down there. They're in the doldrums of league organizations.
Robert Kraft, we know because like I don't know what size ring he wears, but that man has like the shortest, fattest hands you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So if I don't know though, and Jerry Jones, who I universally loathe, just because of the person that he is.
Yeah.
So anyway, if I don't know you, then that's probably good. Then I'm assuming the Titans ownership is decent.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think Sale is I think it's as good a hire as any of these other ones. I mean, seems like a decent fit. Go ahead.
Here's what I don't get in this, and we talked about this a little bit, but hockey used to be like if you had a personality flaw, they would just fire you. Like, whatever, you're fired. We don't like you anymore. We'll bring in a new guy. So hockey was like kind of notorious for just flopping coaches around. Then the NBA got to be kind of a cult of personality. It was no longer like who controlled the team. The coaches didn't control the teams anymore. Mm-hmm. Pat Riley's of the world were gone, and the players controlled who they wanted to coach them. And now we get to the NFL where you fire guys that have made the playoffs, that have won a playoff game in that season. Mm-hmm. That is insanity.
Well, it's one of those deals where sometimes the longer you're the coach, maybe the less jobs, maybe like your job security, if you're successful for a few years, those first 5-6 years, you're okay. But if you don't continue on the upward trajectory, then you start to lose. Like you can go 8th, 9th, 10th year, and all of a sudden you become a hot seat coach. It's kind of what happened to Harbaugh.
And every time you pay a quarterback like 1/8 of your salary cap, the window for winning, I think, gets smaller.
Well, we still have to have that an in-depth discussion on that, because that's where you and I disagree on that idea that paying your quarterback is with the way that the salary cap works.
Well, right.
I
I'm just saying the salary cap is out of whack.
Sure.
Yeah, but anyway,
we do have two other jobs that remain open as of this recording, which is the Arizona Cardinals, who fired Jonathan Gannon, and the Raiders, who fired Pete Carroll after 1 year, which was one of the most predictable situations that I can remember.
One of the worst offensive lines.
It was like week 1 they beat the Patriots, and then after that it was like, oh yeah, he's not going to survive this year. I've not heard a lot of rumors surrounding either the Arizona or the Raiders job, but I tell you what, the candidates are starting to dry up.
Well, I mean, they're both bottom 10 jobs.
Yeah, probably
To me, but
yeah.
But anyway, let's take a break. And when we come back, we've got a best thing, worst thing that we're going to talk about. And you have, what was the thing that you wanted to talk about?
A new TV show by a popular author who definitely hosts this TV show like a popular author.
All right. So we'll talk about that when we come back. If you are inclined, go find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and we are on YouTube with our shorts and the podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.
We actually just
we do
we just started a TikTok. I'm sorry, an X account this week. I don't know if we're
the app formerly known as Twitter.
The social media platform formerly known as Twitter. I don't know if we're tweeting on there or Xing on there. I'm not sure what it's called anymore.
Well,
but
I'm not Xing on anything.
Yeah, I'll have to pull up. It's so new that I don't even know the handle. But it is under Bet Small Lose Small. I think it's BSLS Pod. It's at BSLS Pod on X. So check us out there. We've got a few posts up if you wanna follow us along. And as always, send us nasty comments because we love those.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take a break and we'll come back. One thing, we're doing our segment that we like to call best thing, worst thing. What's the best thing or worst thing that you saw this week? I think we can agree that over all things that we could talk about, the one that we both think is the worst thing is Bill Belichick not getting elected to the Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
I think if the Pro Football Hall of Fame is going to treat its greatest coach of all time, and just so everybody understands, the voters, there are 50 voters in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Most of them are media members. I am a former media person. If you're going to be such small-dicked pricks that you can't get Bill Belichick in on the first vote, then your organization needs to be disbanded and your vote should never be cast again in this particular organization.
This was a news report that came out, and like a lot of people, I had to look at it and go, this has got to be like somebody's pranking Seth Wickersham here. Like, this cannot possibly be true. But you have to get 40 of 50 votes, which means there were 11 people on the voting committee that left Belichick off of their ballot. Now, we can go in one direction with this and say there were 11 people that disliked Belichick or had some kind of a problem with him enough to not vote for him, which kind of a prickly dude, I would say. A lot of media members.
Okay, so let me just set the scene.
Mm-hmm.
This is 2012, 2013. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Cincinnati Bearcats football coach, and I cannot think of his name right now. It was Butch Davis.
Butch Davis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was kind of a notorious media asshole.
We're in the room, and Butch Davis is being interviewed because the University of Cincinnati had been offered a chance to go to the Belk Bowl, and they were accepting an invite to the Belk Bowl. Also at the same time, Butch Davis was rumored to be leaving that job, which he did leave. And he mistreated every member of the media in there because he refused to talk about the story that was so blatantly obvious and refused to, be honest about it.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to be honest about it because, well, we're not here to talk about that. And I don't want to talk about that. Don't ask me questions about that. Bill Belichick, for 15 or 16 years in a row, was a complete mumbling dick to the media every fucking week.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as a member of the media, a former member of the media, I can't stand those guys. And I told you, and I still believe this to this very moment, I don't care. if Bill Belichick had lined up all 50 Hall of Fame voters and punched them individually in the face and then kicked them when they fell down, they still should have put him on their first ballot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there's the other twist here. There are a couple other twists. First of all, they changed the voting format before last year's vote, so that now you don't have like a coach ballot and a contributor ballot. Like you have basically all the coach. Like there was a contributor ballot that had Belichick and Roger Craig and a couple other people on there. Robert Kraft was included in that. We're going to get to that in just a second. But the process now is that you have to basically pick 3 of those people and vote for them. 3 of those candidates and vote for them. So there are a couple things that could have happened here. You almost certainly had a handful of people that were like, I'm not voting for Bill because I don't like him, or because I think that the Deflategate and the Spygate scandals were enough to make him wait a year, right? So you almost certainly had some of those. But then you might have also had a situation where there were people going, well, I kind of want to recognize these 3 guys, and there's no chance that Belichick's not going to make it, so I'm going to put my 3 votes into somebody else.
Well, okay.
So if it was a combination of those things, I can see how it happens, but if that is what happened, then the Hall of Fame has to change the way that it does things, or this is just not like this is threatening the legitimacy of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, not threatening. If it were up to me, I would just say, you need to start over.
Yeah.
So one of the voters that voted that did not put Belichick on his vote, he came out today. His name is Vahe Gregorian. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. Vahe. He's with the Kansas City Star. And basically there is a backlog of players that probably should have been in that never made it in. Ken Anderson being one of those players. Roger Craig being another one of those players. And so he had there are 15 modern era players and 5 in a seniors category, which included Belichick, Kraft, Roger Craig, and Ken Anderson, among others. They could choose up to 5 modern era players and 1 to 3 senior candidates.
Okay.
So his explanation in his column that he wrote today was basically he didn't think that Ken Anderson and Roger Craig and a couple of these other guys would ever come back up for a vote in this format because it's happened before. Mm-hmm. And so he thought it was more important to put those guys on there instead of Belichick.
Well,
because he knew Belichick would get in. That is flawed logic, my friends.
Well,
that's a shitty thing to do.
But see, this comes back to the question of whether this is a process problem, because
it might
what
be.
he's saying is, oh, Belichick's going to get in. I don't have to worry about voting for him. I think it's more important for me to at least put some votes behind Ken Anderson and Roger Craig, because that way we know that they'll get they at least have a chance of getting, whereas Belichick's almost a lock, right? And that's a problem not with Mr. Gregorian there in Kansas City, although a reporter from Kansas City.
But I think it is a problem because, I mean, when you have like the greatest coach that has ever coached football, period.
Sure.
And he is up for his first time on the Hall of Fame, he should get in.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hall should go back and just be like, that vote was stupid. We're not doing that. We're putting him in as a special case.
I want to come back to that in a second. The other twist to this is that there are rumors floating around that Bill Polian, who is on the voting committee, Bill Polian, who is the general manager of Indianapolis, who was the general manager of Indianapolis during the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era,
certainly,
who was blocked several times by the Patriots from making the Super Bowl, beaten in the playoffs several times. One of those being the Deflategate game. In fact, I believe it was Polian that actually brought up the idea of investigating Deflategate in the first place.
Okay,
there's a rumor that he was telling people, "Hey, we need to make Bill wait a year because these 2 scandals are enough. that he needs to be punished more for that. Throwing out the fact that he paid like $750,000 in fines between those two scandals, and they lost a couple first round picks as a team for that. Polian supposedly was out there campaigning against Belichick. Allegedly. Now, he says, no, that didn't happen. But he also says that he can't remember whether he voted for Bill Belichick 2 weeks ago when the ballots were out, even though he can remember 100% that he voted for Kraft, for Bob Kraft, a year ago when they voted for that, and Kraft didn't get in. So if any of this is true at all, then Bill Polian needs to be stripped of his voting rights for the Hall of Fame, because that's preposterous. It's holding a grudge, and the punishment was served. And by the way, after those scandals, the Patriots still went to 5 more Super Bowls and won 3. So that's an absurd argument if that's indeed what Polian said, what Polian was doing.
I mean, on the outrage meter for sports, this is a 10 out of 10 for me.
It's unconscionable that you said.
I don't like the guy. I think he's a prick.
No, I don't either. I mean, I think he's a great football coach.
Oh, no question. But I think, anytime that someone chooses meanness over kindness just to make a point, I have a problem with that person automatically. When you're a dick to the media, when they're just trying to do their job, and you're trying to do your job, but you're specifically and targeting some of them.
Yeah.
And then to the gall that he had to go and be a member of the media for a year.
Do image repair for a year. I don't know how much. Was Belichick really, was he an outright dick? Like, he wasn't doing Butch Davis type of shit and yelling at people. He was just guilty of short answers. Like, is that?
No, he was
he was a shithead.
He was a shithead.
Because Greg Popovich would do the same thing. He would give stupid answers to stupid questions too.
Popovich, though, was effervescent compared to Bill Belichick.
That's fair. It's all fair, and I agree. I don't think it's reason enough for him to be.
No, that was.
Do you think, you said a minute ago, the Hall of Fame should just go, actually, we are going to step in and correct this here. Belichick is going to be in the Hall of Fame. Do you think there's an avenue that they can go down where they just say, forget about the vote. The numbers preclude any kind of voting outcome here.
If there was a case to be made for that, this is that case.
Would it hurt their credibility more if they said, we're going to just go against our voting procedure and put him in? We're just going to flex our muscles and say, no, he's going in. Like, I feel like they have a serious credibility problem at this point. I think, honestly, the only way that they can avoid more damage is by publishing the actual ballots.
I mean,
saying, this is who you want to talk. You want to talk to somebody about this? Talk to these motherfuckers over here that didn't vote for Belichick.
I don't know how they could do more damage. So if they righted their obvious wrong. And what a shame it would be if like something were to happen to Bill over the next year.
Right.
And he didn't actually get to go in while he was living.
Right. Yeah. Like he lost 10 games at North Carolina or something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. Moving on.
Let's move on.
The best thing you saw this week.
I have a best. It was kind of a best thing and worst thing, I would say. Well, worst thing.
Did you have a Did we both have worst things?
We both had worst things. I had one best thing, but it's kind of a shout out to a fan at the
end. Let's hear it.
You want to hear that first?
Yeah, let's talk about Avery.
So Avery Glenn Crabtree is what I would call one of the Central Kentucky music legends around here. When we have a pretty rich, I would say a pretty rich breeding ground for music in Kentucky, for country music in Kentucky. I mean, besides the big names like Chris Stapleton and Tyler Childers and Sturgill Simpson and these guys that have come out recently. I mean, this goes back. There's a long history of great Kentucky artists, and I'm lucky enough to get to work with a lot of them. People like around here, like George Moulton, Avery, Garrick Howell, some people may know him as Puddin'
Puddin',
Howell,
yeah.
John McHugh.
Lots of those guys.
Lots of guys around here. I'm sure I'm missing a few of them.
Super talented people that
Extremely.
are out there just working the clubs.
The Montgomery brothers, the John Michael Montgomery and
Eddie
Montgomery came from Kentucky. I mean, just absolute monster legends, and then legends like in this area, like in the central, like in the bluegrass area. Avery is one of those that goes back to like the early days, like the early 2000s days of like when Austin City was having one of its heydays. Austin City, the world famous Austin City Saloon in Lexington, Kentucky. Avery, I happen to work with these guys. I'm lucky enough to work with a lot of these guys because of some of the work that I do in music production, in live music production. And I ran into Avery at the at Two Fisted Willie's,
where you work sometimes.
Where I work sometimes, playing guitar for a Shania Twain-ish cover band. Called Crazy Shania Train, if you want to look it up. Great. It was great. It's just absolute fun time with those folks. But Avery came up to me and was like, "Hey, man, I just want to let you know your podcast is incredible." I was like, "You listen to our podcast?"
Right.
Like Avery, if you know Avery, he's a little crazy. He's definitely a little ADD, but he is an awesome guy. He's a great musician, great guitarist, great singer. And he just went on and on. He was like, man, the podcast, he's like, I listen to it every week. He was like, I haven't listened to it this week. He was asking me questions like about what we were going to cover, if we were going to talk about the college national championship. He was like, and man, I really like when you guys talk about this. And when you talk about stuff that's not sports, like I do football and all that. But it was really cool to hear somebody like that who I consider to be a legend. Just kind of heap praise on us for a minute. And so I want to just give a shout out because Avery will love this. Avery, we're on the two shot here. Avery, you're the man, number one fan. Avery Glenn Crabtree. Go find, if you can find a place where he's playing any weekend, go find it because he's an absolute hoot to watch play guitar.
He's really good at it.
Really good.
I took a really good photo of him a couple years back that I was really proud of for a long time.
Yeah.
All right. So
he's going to lose his mind that he was mentioned on the podcast.
Well,
I can't wait for that.
To stay in the music vein, we like to talk about music, movies, sports, Gen X stuff. Is Barry Manilow a Gen? No. Gen Xers don't listen to Barry Manilow.
No.
Right. Anyway, Barry Manilow is coming to Lexington, Kentucky, and I guess he's doing a farewell tour.
Yeah.
I found this out the other day because they're running ads for Barry Manilow here in the local Lexington market. And he is coming to Lexington March the 9th, which is a Monday. And he is 82 years old.
Yeah.
He is a recipient of multiple facelifts. And he is still out there performing. And we've talked about this off and on about over the years of like, why do you hang on?
Yeah.
Why do you hang on at 82? By the way, just to give you an idea, Barry Manilow is not in low demand. Okay, I'm just going to list the dates. He had cancer, by the way. He had stage 1 lung cancer.
Yeah, and so
that was diagnosed recently, and he had surgery.
We should probably couch this with like, we really hope that Barry Manilow is doing okay.
It's fine.
He's not like, he's not like on his way out.
No, he's not. He's not. He's just on his way out from touring across the country.
He's like, let's get after it one more time.
All right, Barry Manilow.
Larry Manilow would be fantastic.
He's playing the 12th of February in Vegas, the 13th, the 14th, the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, the 27th. And then he's actually the 27th, he's on the road. All right, he's in Tampa, Florida.
My goodness.
At the Benchmark International Arena, wherever that is. It's called the Last Tampa Concert. Then he goes to Charlotte, North Carolina, to the Spectrum Center, where he plays the last Charlotte concert. On his way, he goes to Baltimore, Cincinnati, Columbus, Ohio.
Wait, can I guess? Is that the last Columbus, Ohio show?
Check.
The
check.
last Baltimore? Okay.
And then in Lexington, Barry Manilow comes to the Rupp Arena, which, by the way, holds 22,500 for basketball. The place is a cavern.
It's one of the largest indoor arenas in North America. Like larger than most NBA basketball arenas.
So I'm looking at the I'm on Ticketmaster right now, and I'm looking at the Ticketmaster website. And folks, when you know a blue dot is an available ticket and a gray dot is a ticket that's been bought, Barry Manilow plays here in roughly 5.5 weeks, 6 weeks. My friends, the worst thing I've seen this week is the number of blue dots left in Rupp Arena, which is kind of like a half house for this show.
Yeah, they don't have it set up for.
No, it's not like the half. It's not like the quarter setup, but it's like the half setup.
Okay.
It's about 1/8 sold.
Oh no, that's not good.
And you can get tickets as low as $39.20.
Really? Okay.
Yep. So it's rough.
I'm going to tell you a little story here, because Aaron pointed this out to me the other day that Manilow was coming. Now, I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain of how I got to where I am today. When I was little, and I'm talking like 3-4 years old, my parents insist that I was like addicted to Barry Manilow. Like didn't have a lot of words going just yet.
Copacabana,
but would dance and sing to Copacabana, and would just demand Manilow. I would go Manilow, and want them to play that record like on the stereo. Back when it was records.
like this is 78, 79.
This is
it's like 82,
this is like
83.
80. Yeah, this is like
he was
early
still writing original music.
Oh yeah, Manilow was big about that time. So Erin sees that he's coming, and she's like, "Do you want to go see him?" And I was like, "Okay."
Aaron looking at you with a straight face and asking you,
she's like, "Do you want to go see?"
If you want to go see Barry Manilow, is the best thing I've seen all week.
I was like, I appreciate the thought, but I've literally not been a Barry Manilow fan for like 44 years. So we'll see. If those tickets come down to like $15, maybe we'll give it a try.
Oh,
but
if we did that, oh my gosh.
Oh.
Before we go on to our last little thing here, I do want to point out that we did get a good amount of feedback on the "Can we throw the ball 30 yards?"
Oh yeah.
And we have lined up a pal of mine that I work with. His name is Whit Dixon. Shout out to Whit, who does also watch the podcast.
Okay.
Whit has agreed to come help me film this endeavor. And we're gonna try it out.
There's no way this is gonna go.
Can we throw a football 30 yards? And we're gonna kick a high school level PAT, and we're gonna try to kick a pro level PAT.
Are we gonna have medical staff on hand for this?
I feel pretty confident that I can survive it.
Do you want me to tell you what Scotty said about this?
He said no way.
So I talked to Scott, my good friend and former business partner, Scotty Williams, who we used to own Tipsy Cow Bar in Georgetown here. He's a defensive coordinator for the middle school football for one of the middle schools here. So we were looking around to find, see if somebody had a full size NFL football. So
right.
I asked Scotty. I was like, he was like, no, I don't actually have an NFL football. And I was like, damn, because Lanny and I had this debate whether we could throw a football 30 yards. And he just texted back, LOL. And I was like, wait, I don't personally know that I can throw a ball 30 yards. Lanny seems to think it can be done. And Lanny was like, Scotty was like, he texted me back. He said, I probably 10 years ago could throw a ball 30 yards. He's like, I don't think I could do it today. And now he's had a neck surgery or a neck issue. So he's like, I'm a little compromised, but he's like, I don't think guys our age can throw a ball 30 yards. So we're going to see. This is going to be interesting because especially the kick in the field. Like I was never great at kicking football.
That might be a taller task than we
Yeah,
think.
we might be limping around for a few days.
What,
after
32 or 33 yards for the professional extra point?
I think it's 20. I think it's 28.
They put the ball down at like the
I think
22 or 23.
I think they put
We have a computer right in front of us.
Yeah, I know. We could look this up. I think it's like between 28 and 32. It's like 28 yards. It's not that long. It's like you're snapping the ball from the 10. Okay, so
33 yards.
33 yards
according to the Google machine.
So it's yeah.
It's snapped from the 15.
Okay.
7 yards for the holder.
I'm telling you, you're going to get out there and you're not even going to try it.
I'm going to try it.
Okay.
I'm going to tear some ligaments in my foot, but I'm
Oh,
going to do
man.
it.
I'm just worried about my quad just like separating from my body.
They might do it.
I mean, there's going to be like, is there? I'm starting to think about like my throwing motion. Like, do I have to worry about like my Achilles or?
I know some
like
people
that?
my age that like need new hips. So
Well, yeah, I know. I'm not that far off from it myself. I have this one other thing, but I actually think that in the interest of time this week, I'm going to save it because we've done enough good things here today. that
Yes.
I think we can get away with saving some material for next week, because next week, of course, we're going to do the in-depth preview of Super Bowl 60.
I think we need to look at some of the most ridiculous parlays out there, or the most ridiculous prop bets.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to get deep into prop bets next week. So let's save this material because I don't want to burn it up after we've talked about Manilow, and Avery's going to love that he was talked about in the same podcast with
Barry Manilow.
Yeah, that's going to be a hoot for him. So let's cut it there.
Find us on all the socials: Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok,
X,
and on Twitter X, whatever.
Twitter X, BSLS Pod is the handle. Also, if you want to send us a little message, bet small, lose small at gmail.com to send us a note, tell us what you think, or sign us up for weird mailing lists. So I guess that's it. You got anything more?
Nope.
Okay.
Let's quit.
Let's kill it.